All right, guys, what's going on? Zach Evanish here doing a Strong Life live with Shelton Stevens, 13 bar performance. So he's going to be popping in here on the live soon. We're going to get the Q&A rocking and very likely going to be talking military. I hate to use the word tactical. It's so played out, but that's what we're going to be doing. And just going to wait for him to pop in. Here we go, 13 bar strong, and he's going to be popping in. We're going to do live for about 30 minutes, guys. Here we go. Shelton. All right, bro. How's my sound coming in? Good? Okay. I don't hear your sound. Try without the headset. Let's see if that works. There we go. Cool.
Sweet.
Good to go, my man. Thanks for hopping in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Not sure when's the last time you've done a live Instagram with somebody.
It's been a while.
Yep. So let's give, for our listeners, we'll just give them a little background because I'm going to pull the audio from this. I'll put it up on my podcast. I'll do another intro, but give them like a little 2-minute briefing of like the universities you've been at and now military and what branch you're working with, whatever you could reveal from that end.
Yeah. So basically, I started internships at Florida State University, Louisiana State University with Coach Moffitt. From there, I kind of skipped a graduate assistant position and went straight to a full-time assistant, which was a good thing and a bad thing. You know, I was kind of thrown into the fire a little bit. That was at Nova Southeastern. That was a D2 university. And then kind of climbed my way up from there. Worked at Southern Miss for a while, Mercer, Arkansas State. Just like any other strength coach, man, just bounced around a lot.
Yes.
Finally, my last college gig was at Liberty University. Great school, man. Great school.
Yes.
Virginia is my home. That's where I grew up. Really enjoyed it there. But at the same time, the tactical setting was very appealing to me. And it was something I was talking to my staff about and my wife. I'm like, man, like this is something I really like enjoy. I might want to get into. And I started kind of, looking up some things, doing some research on it, and got certified through the NSCA. And then from there, man, just through connections, it just happened. And it's been great so far, man.
Right. And I hate using that word tactical, it's getting played out, but that's what people understand. But it is fairly new what they're doing with the military. There have certainly been a small number of guys, small number of performance coaches that have gone into the military setting, but now they're really starting to look for the specialists. You and I have been connecting on that.
Yep.
Chris Neff, who I met when he was 20, came out to my certification when he was a baseball player at his own university. So he was a kid.
Yeah, he lives right up the street, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, he told me it was crazy. We're gonna let people drop questions, although we did have one specific question from a friend of mine, Ann, and she's actually about to retire from military. I think she's in the Army, working with anesthesiologists, but she's still pretty interested in this, the Army PT test.
Oh,
and what branch are you in with? Marines, Army? Who are you working?
Yeah.
You're working with.
I'm with USASOC.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you're with the heavy hitters. So talk to us about. You were also at a military base up in Virginia, though, after Liberty, correct?
No, I went straight down to Fort Bragg. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. So talk to us about this new PT test, just a little bit. The Army. I like what they've done. Obviously not perfect, but certainly much more applicable for military. You got the trap bar deadlift for a 3 RM. You got the med ball throw. We've got the run. We've got sit-ups. We've got hand release push-ups. And then the question Ann had was an interesting one, was the pull-up and then knees to elbows.
Yep.
Very interesting. And she's wondering, how to get better at that. And so we'd love to hear. We'll tackle that question. Then we're just going to get into some kind of general Q&A on the military side of things.
Yeah, I think with that, man, of course, with females, they always have trouble with their pull-up strength, right?
Yep.
So obviously, I think it comes from a very specific programming point, because in the military, it's just like do as many pull-ups as you can. Pull-ups, pull-ups, pull-ups. But there's no like scheme to it. There's no isometrics. There's no eccentrics. I think that has a lot to play with it. Everybody has their own technique when it comes to the testing protocol. So again, her technique might be different from somebody else's, but again, it's training that core strength, because it's more of those knees, the elbows, man. She's got to have some core strength, and of course, the leaner you are, the better, right? I mean, we see that with anything, with all the pull-ups, the push-ups, the testing. A lot of these guys are lean. A lot of these girls are lean, and they're crushing these numbers. Obviously, the stronger you get, that's going to improve with anything. So she has to keep working on that. But yeah, the kip-ups, man, is just something that, with core strength and pull-up strength and that isometric hold where she's got to hold at that 90 and tuck those knees up, she's going to have to work on that, man. But that's just going to come with just overall strength.
Yeah, it's so funny that we can talk about kind of a specialty of, training for a test or training for something, but strength is going to consistently be the foundation. And then, like what you said, I train, my gyms are closed down, but it's pretty common that we get guys that want to prepare for some sort of a police academy, whether it's state troopers, corrections. They've got to go through the academy. So I know they're going to get crushed on calisthenics.
Yep.
And so we've got to get strong. But we will throw in, we would probably break that down, right? You got to get great at pull-ups, great at knee raises, great at isos, then you basically reverse engineer. You're going to reverse engineer things. So it's interesting that they made the change. What have you seen, being you're at a elite level of military. What are some common things you've seen with maybe injuries, weak areas, things that you got to work on with these guys?
Well, it's the overtraining aspect, right?
Yes.
That's the number one thing. So it's all the running. Everybody loves to run. They want to run a lot, and we're trying to. It's more of backing these guys off than anything else. So we see a lot of calf strains, soleus strains. We have a lot of forearm stuff with rope climbs and everything. So those are big. Elbow issues. Those are kind of two of your main ones. Of course, everything that they do. So they have a lot of back pain, neck pain. But again, man, like those common injuries can be fixed with the right kind of exercise and the right kind of coaching. To me, I tell a lot of people, people ask like, what's different? It's different, but at the same time, programming is programming, man. Like if you coach up correctly, and it's the same thing, you get stronger, everything gets better. You just got to coach up stuff, and you have to coach up correctly. That's where a lot of these guys and girls, they don't know how to lift, and they still don't know how to lift, even if they're 30 years old. They just don't know how to do a proper push-up. They don't know how to do a pull-up.
Yes.
We see it everywhere, and there's no difference there. It's just a good coach can coach, and you'll see results.
Yeah, interesting that you say that. Is every time I make a move to a different position, whether, now I'm full-time at a high school, but I remember when I was getting my first full-time position at a university at Lehigh, and I just kind of started overthinking things and getting all crazy on the planning beforehand. And then it's like, all right, these guys aren't even doing a full range pull-up. They will not straighten out their arms. Or they do these, the wrestler push-up, head down, stomach sagging, and it was like, man, I was worried about teaching a hang clean, and I got to go back to square one. And then I remember it was the same thing going to Rutgers. I started overthinking things, and once you get them trained up, though, that is the beauty of working with the elite, is that they start really committing to the excellence, and they follow through. But there is certainly a difference in training the military guys, because it's like training a pro athlete. They're post-collegiate. They've got the mileage on the body. And so what adjustments did you have to make mentally for yourself with regards to training guys who are 30? And in some of these Spec Ops commands, we've got guys that are, early 40s, late 30s, still active. So what did you change mentally to help you be a better coach for these guys?
Yeah, I think when I first came in, I think the biggest mistake was when I started programming, the guys would come up to me. He's like, man, hey, I can't finish this workout. It's just, all right. Well, I think what I've learned is like less is more, and that's something that I learned in college, but then I brought it here with me. It's the same thing, and the guys are loving it. I think mentally it's just like, man, like this might not look like a lot on paper.
Yes.
But it is, and it goes a long way. And it's more about the word consistency, man. Like if they have consistent days back to back to back of training, that's a good thing. We don't need setbacks. We can't afford setbacks.
Right. How many days a week do you recommend your unit trains with you?
So everything where we're at is completely optional to the guys. Completely optional. So the buy-in factor and be able to relate to these guys to get them to buy into your program is crucial. We got guys that want 6 or 7 days a week, and we got guys that want 2 days a week.
Yep.
So we're all over the spectrum. And the thing is, you have to meet them halfway, because if you don't, they're going to jump off the program and do what they want anyway.
Right.
Because these are grown men, right?
Yes.
So these are grown men, and they're going to do what they want. So you got to get them to buy into what you're doing and how it's going to help them. They need to see results.
How old are you now, Shelton?
35.
Right. So I bet you the guys that are in their 30s or guys that are in their 20s are like, all right, man, this guy's been training. He's had the injuries. So that certainly helps when you're in your mid-30s, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. I think you and I have talked about it before. To me, is learning under the bar, man. Like that experience under the bar.
Yeah.
It's going to be any research article, anything that you can read, any book that you can read, and anything else, because that's how you're going to relate to them. Those guys, they care about research and they're smart enough to read stuff on their own, but you can relate to them better, and they're going to look at you because you understand what that feels like, what that back feels like, that back pain, and what that ankle or calf feels like.
Yes.
You've been through it all.
Right. We got a question about if you've worked with Jeff Nichols, who's a mutual friend of ours, and he's former SEAL. So, what lessons have you learned from Jeff? I'm sure you've chatted with him quite a lot, and he's very much applying the science, I'm sure, because he basically pushed himself beyond science. So I'd love to hear any big takeaways you learned from him, and kind of blend that answer with, you mentioned over programming. So talk some of that as well during this answer.
Well, Jeff got these videos on YouTube a while ago before he had his website, and he made all these videos for free.
Yeah.
All the videos go back to what we're saying. Like, he was teaching people how to do proper push-ups,
how
to properly program a pull-up, how many weeks you need to do it. Like, it's the same stuff, but it's just different coaches. I mean, we've all talked. Me and Jeff can sit down, and we can all three of us sit down, and we can talk about the same things, and we're going to agree because we've been through it, and we know what it takes, and we know what a proper program looks like, or a proper exercise looks like, and there's really no difference in the aspect. Just the only difference is he programs a little bit differently than I do. Like, you would program different than me.
Right.
I mean, it's the way it is.
We're probably 80%. Us guys would agree on 80% of what we're programming and doing.
Yep, exactly.
It's the coach's eye, that's what I always say. It's like the more you are on the floor coaching and lifting, you see things differently. And the way I could explain that is, people think they're just following the exercises, but I say, man, like, I could watch you deadlift and I could see you do a triple. And I know if you simply add a 2.5 to each side, it's going to make your back fold. Like, I know when to get you to cut it. But somebody else might just be saying, hey, I did 5x3 on the deadlift. We're doing the same stuff. And it's, I can't emphasize it's not just what you do, it's how you do it. Like, you being at Liberty, I know they put up that massive, beautiful facility. And the way I say it in college is, it's a pretty level playing field. We all pretty much have a multi-million-dollar facility. And they all have coaches. They all have whatever. You are in charge of Olympic sports, so they all have a basketball. They all have a wrestling mat. But it's how they perform whatever it is in their sport. So how you do things is crucial. So I'm kind of trying to go through some of these questions here. Trying to see. I'm making sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. Iron Philosophy was asking. We're kind of hitting on this. What has prepared you the most working with tactical athletes in a technical aspect, programming, adjusting for uncontrollable variables, and interpersonal settings, buying, etc. So I guess, if we dial that in, do you know when guys are going to get deployed?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so if they're about to get deployed, are you doing a taper phase as if we're going into the end of a season, like a sports season?
Yeah, so we'll taper them off before they leave because, I mean, it'll take, almost a week for them to get over there from all the traveling and get settled in and stuff like
Yep.
that. That's an automatic taper right there. But during deployment, man, these guys, that's the time to crank it up because most of them are just kind of sitting around.
Yes.
So they're wanting to get bigger. They're eating good. Some of them enjoy just kind of getting away from the stress of even family, right? So
Right.
all that stuff and just getting as big and strong as possible. So that's when we have a good 16-week program for them that they follow all throughout. And it's probably one of the most steadiest times for them to train.
Really? How many days a week is that 16-week program?
So we got guys that want 3, 4, 5. It's all over the place. Like right now, I got about 70 different programs going at once. Now, some of them are different by the way they look. Some of them are the same with, some of the complex movements and everything. But some guys want Metcons. Some guys want running, swimming. I tell you, we joke in the office. We're like, man, if we ever go back to the professional setting or the college setting, that's going to be the easiest programming job in the world because we got so many different programs going on right now.
Right, and it's interesting that I've been really intrigued by this probably since my college experiences in around 2013 was if somebody doesn't believe in a program, I don't care if it actually is effective. If they don't believe in what they're doing, their mindset will actually stop it from working. And to me, that's quite mind-blowing. Is some athletes, and it's probably same thing with some operators, they don't want to lift heavy because they feel like it makes them slow. But then other guys want to be full-on meathead power lifter.
Yeah, we got guys that are freaks. I mean, their VO2s are up in the 55s. Like, they can crush weight. I mean, pretty much whatever you throw to them, they can handle. But you also have guys that are very small, very lean, and can run forever. And like you said, are afraid of weight. So it's all over the place. I mean, you have your heavy breachers that are made to be massive and big and intimidating. Right. So that's where it's kind of like you have to talk to them and get them to buy in. Like, hey, this is why you need to lift a little bit heavier because it'll help you with your running. So that's the stuff where you better be ready for like the people that want to enter the tactical setting. You better be able to communicate and talk and relate to these guys.
No doubt. What are you using to manage all the program? Are you using an app or are you going Excel?
Yeah, so we use Bridge right now.
Okay, yep.
It's pretty solid, man. It took a while to get used to it, but Bridge, once you get used to it, it's pretty smooth, and their customer service is pretty legit.
Good. Good to hear about, I spoke to some guys, they're using Train Heroic. So I think when you got like 30, 50, 70 different programs, you're going to need an app. And how strict are you with the guys recording load so you can track, with 70 different programs, do you look at the volume of the load every certain amount of weeks and assess?
Yeah, so we can monitor. So Bridge monitors all that, just like Train Heroic or anything else, like total tonnage, volume, stuff like that. And also with it, if I want to track a set or make a test set, you can do that. All you got to do is click a button and basically all the numbers recorded from the guys, and it spits all that out.
Are the guys coming into the training facility with their phones then?
No.
Nice.
That's the tricky part. Like some of these companies that work all Bluetooth and cloud and stuff, where we're at, they can't. We can't go that route.
Right. I'm very much like that. It's like I don't want a phone in the weight room. I would rather you just memorize the movement that we were tracking. All right, you got to remember that you did 315 for 3. When you're done and you're chilling out, go back to the phone and plug it in.
Yeah. So they can't use their phones, but we did buy some tablets that we had to get programmed and specifically programmed for the building. So they use tablets, but then they use their phones at the house whenever they're so right now, this critical time, having Bridge is awesome, right?
Gotcha. This is something that I've been thinking about a long time. I barely myself use a straight bar. And then with programming for athletes, it's pretty often a specialty bar. I'm just trying to push longevity. At the underground, it's like, all right, can we get these guys into college healthy and keep them that way? So, I mean, I'm going to say 70% of the time, I'm using a safety bar for squats or a neutral bar for some sort of a press. But maybe you didn't have that when you got to this unit. Did this setup have specialty bars, or was it outfitted with straight bars? How'd that look?
Yeah, so we're lucky enough to have a hell of a facility. So we have a lot of stuff to play around with. When I first got there, like my specific group, a lot of them didn't even know what a trap bar was. So
Interesting.
Like, are you kidding me? And they tried it out and they're like, man, I really like this. And some of them were like, no, like barbell only. That's all I want to do is barbell only. So it's getting them to explore with like the ox bar or the football bar or stuff like that for their shoulders. It was crucial. They've never played around with it, but we have it. We have it at the facility.
Gotcha. And do you kind of give them the freedom? So let's say you program in the bench press.
Yep.
Do you give them the freedom? Straight bar, thick bar, neutral bar?
Yeah, absolutely. Like when it comes to program, I tell them like, hey, like just look at the movement, right? If I have back squat and you're not feeling that for the day, do front squat, gobble squat, safety bar, whatever. Just get a squat pattern in.
Yeah. Are the guys, are they healthy enough to be able to do front squats, or are their wrists and elbows pretty banged up?
Some of them are pretty banged up, but for the majority, the guys that are lifting out on the floor and stuff, I mean, they can do pretty much whatever. It's just like anywhere else, right? Some guys can do it, some guys can't.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we got guys full snatching, full cleaning. I mean, it's kind of the culture we've created there.
Yep.
Over time, even before I was there. And some guys love it, Olympic lifting, and some guys, it's hard because if I program it and they're not in the facility and I can't see them do it, I don't like programming it because I don't like not being there while they're doing Olympic lifting.
Yes.
I'm gonna talk to them about it, but guys that I know have good technique, I will program Olympic lifting for them.
What would you program if they were away? Would you just say dumbbell muscle snatch, dumbbell power snatch, dumbbell clean and press, or?
Yeah, we'll go. So we have a lot of DC blocks in the facility.
Okay.
So whenever they're in the facility, if they can't clean, I'll get them to lift a lot off the blocks. That's something we do is a lot of Olympic lifts off the blocks anyway. We don't have a lot of work off the floor.
How come?
It's just the fact of, like you said, them being just injuries over time, and in their mind, if we can elevate them and get them in a better position, the safer it's going to be for them.
Right, so they're not pulling from the ground, straining the back.
Exactly.
How many coaches were at this, unit before you got there?
So right now we have four strength coaches. We're looking to get a fifth. And then we have, what's unique about this place is we are assigned to a PT. So I have a PT that works with me. Other strength coach has another PT. We have nutritionists. We have a cognitive performance coach, a data analyst, people that help with research and bring in the newest technology, doctors, medical professionals. We're pretty set, man. I mean, we're very lucky.
Yeah, it's big. Yeah, it's like it's all under one roof.
Yep.
Somebody's asking, with regards to testing outside of the ACFT, how does that drive your program? You're working with SF guys. Are they still having to retest in that, or?
No. So every now and then, the commanders or whatnot may want to do some team testing or something like that, like just for fun. So we'll do some of that. I mean, if some guys just want to do the new ACFT just to see how they do.
Yeah, they probably want to destroy it.
Man, they love competing, dude.
Yes, no doubt. What about any odd objects or strongman stuff? Do you guys incorporate that? What do you guys have over there? The heavy sand balls. What else?
Yeah, so we got tons of stones, sandbags. We're lucky enough to have like a prison gym, so like a outside facility.
Nice.
We have a lot of that stuff outside. We have like a turf strip and stuff. So we have big torpedo carries. That's big with grip strength and stuff. So we have a lot of that.
What do you mean? Like torpedo carries, like handles attached to them? Like old school Dr. Ken Leisner?
Yep.
Oh my, dude, I have to send you. I'll send it to you. I got it like in 2007. Somebody gave me VHS tapes of Dr. Ken. And he was at, I believe, Virginia Tech with, I don't know when Dr. Mike Gentry was there. He wasn't a doctor, but the stuff they're doing is actually very applicable for military. Great. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's great.
When I was at Florida State, that was my first internship. Coach John Jost was there at the time.
Who was there?
John Jost was
okay.
the director there for football.
Yeah. Where's he now?
Oh man, I think he's back in the States. He lived in Puerto Rico for a while, I believe.
Okay.
But the stuff that he was doing, some like fartlek training in there with those freaks. I mean, back then Ernie Sims, those guys, right? I mean, massive, massive freaks. Just seeing them just all jacked up, carrying torpedoes, carrying stones and stuff. I mean, it was impressive.
What stones were you guys, like river stones or Atlas stones?
They're more like Atlas stones.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. So what has kind of, now that you've been there over a year, correct?
Yeah, so it's coming up on 2 now. Yep.
Oh, 2 years. Any, big kind of changes to your mindset or training that you've been there for 2 years that you were like, man, I did not think I'd be doing this, but here I am doing this?
Man, you always want to dissect your programming, but
yes,
at the same time, I think as much stuff that's out there now, I'm going in the opposite direction, man. Like, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible.
Yes,
so
funny.
All the bullshit. Like, I just can't stand seeing this stuff out there nowadays. I just, and that's why I've told people I've talked to, like, yes, the webinars and Zooms, that's great, but I'd rather listen to Jim Windler's table talk for 3 hours than, something that I don't know. I mean, I guess I could just relate to that better.
Sure. Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's it's frustrating for a lot of people. I think it gets frustrating for coaches at the highest levels because we know, Jim Carizzi said this so great. He said, simple things done savagely well. And then I heard Rudy was talking about this, Rudy Reyes, when he was interviewed on Power Athlete. He was talking about the different weapons. And I don't know all the names of them, but he was like, I don't need all that shit. He's like, you give me a handgun or one type of machine gun. He's like brilliance with the basics.
Yeah.
And he was a recon Marine, which is, super elite. And he's like, we were trained to be able to, do our job with less, not with all of this fancy stuff. And I think you could see that with martial artists who have been in martial arts for a long time. And even, let's say we're looking at jiu-jitsu, we're often going to see like the guys who are winning through jiu-jitsu are winning through a choke or an armbar or a triangle, which is like some of the earliest, you start learning that stuff. You start learning a front guillotine choke quite early in jiu-jitsu.
Well, look at Khabib, man. Look at Khabib, for instance, right? I mean, he smothers people on the mat. Nothing fancy. He just wears people down. And just like he did McGregor, like he wears people down with the basics and then he'll choke you out. I mean, I try to like borrow concepts from other sports. So with my background in wrestling, of course, I grew up in an era where Dan Gable was still coaching at Iowa. And his guys were winning with moves that I recall hearing coaches say that you only do that move in rec. You only do that in middle school. And the one move was the cement mixer. It's like a chin underhook, drive the guys over. But Iowa was pinning guys with that. And I was like, it's not what they do, it's how they do it. And so their intensity on those basics were so tremendous and so powerful. And then it's those details, right? Because I say this so much to kind of the outsiders is, we all bench press, we all squat and deadlift, but how come we're not all squatting 1,000 pounds like the guys at Westside? I mean, it's not what we're doing, it's how we do it. And then of course the environment, the atmosphere, that's developed. Yeah. Trying to see if anybody else has questions. This is a good question here. Are you using block, periodization, or a conjugate style training for the operators? It's a good one. Yeah. Both, to be honest with you.
Yep.
I mean, again, like I know the question sounds, the answer's over and over again, but it depends.
I say that all the time. It depends.
It really does. It depends on the schedule. It depends on what they're looking for. Are they they just want to work on some hypertrophy. Yeah, I mean, it just all depends on what their goals are.
Yeah, it goes back to what we said earlier. If they believe in something, we're gonna have a better chance of getting results. And we need, Joe Ken has said this. I've been saying it and thinking it for so long that the biggest aspect of training is giving them confidence to perform, whether it's an athlete or an operator. So some guys, they like, I think the SF community especially, you probably have, a lot of the wrestlers, a lot of the athletes, and they probably like a conjugate style exercise selection. They like variety. It's exciting for them. But then you also have some guys that are very regimented. And so they want the same warm up. They want to touch the bar the same way when they squat. They might do like Jim Wendler's, like boring and basic, where you'll do like a 5-3-1 with the lift, and then you'll do a 5x10 at like 50% of it, and they'll love it.
Yep. No, we try different things, man. We'll bounce off something just to keep it fresh, and if they don't like it and they want to go back, we will. It's just, things get repetitive every once in a while, so you got to change a little bit with them. But again, like meat and potatoes of the workouts, we never stop squatting, we never stop deadlifting, some variations. I mean,
the variation of it.
Program,
Yeah. So interesting here is one of the guys watching, Ray De La Nuez, used to train him in the early days. Ray is a Marine. We have a lot of athletes that, they try college or they decide even not to go to college, and they just go right into military. So we've had guys go to Navy, Air Force, Marines, Army, and then the two battles of West Point and Naval Academy. We actually have a brother and sister. The sister is at West Point. The brothers come to Naval Academy.
That's funny.
It is very funny. We're going to shut it down. I'm going to see if I missed any questions here, Shelton. Shelton, let's actually talk about 13 Bar Strong.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of different programs popping up on there. What was the initial plan, and did you think you were going to have you were going to put so many different programs on there?
So the initial plan, we were thinking about doing this last year, Summer Strong. Like the idea just kind of popped in my head, and I was kind of bringing guys. Because again, I think there's a need for it. I think you see a lot of online programming out there, but how good is it really? I mean, you'll see a lot of CrossFit-ish, like wads of the day, a bunch of
that stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of it. And again, anybody could put a cool picture up and put a wad of the day and get 2,000 likes and get people on board. But it's the customer service and what's really needed out there for the tactical population. So again, it just comes from, there's a lot of people definitely like big infantry and people wanting to enter selection that needs to learn how to program and how to train and those sorts of things. So that's where the idea came from. And, my wife and I came up with the logo and the name, and from there it popped off, man. It's the different programming. We started with a lot, and then we narrowed it down a little bit. But so far, so good, man. It's been going really well.
Is it 13barstrong.com or 13bar performance?
So it's 13barperformance.com is the website. The Instagram, that was taken on Instagram, so we came with 13 Bar Strong as a tag. But
yeah, here it is.
It's going good.
Yep. Lot of programs on here, and you don't have just military. I think you've got all kinds of basically first responders, right? Law enforcement.
Yeah. So basically, we made our programs to where we give a little bit of freedom to them. So if they want to, for instance, if they want to hit some cardiac output for their conditioning, they can do rucking, they can do swimming, kind of whatever they need to work on for their specific job, right? So we made the programs like that for a reason.
Yeah.
And then, we take pride in the customer service and how we talk to people. So if people have questions about their programming, how to change something up, I try to get to them at least within like 24 to 48 hours.
Nice. So I've been seeing I don't know how it said I wasn't following. I thought I was following it. I recall seeing like you had programs for different, you got the spec ops, but you had swimming, you had running, you had the pull-up work. What's really shocking to me, Shelton, is the not so much the state troopers, and state troopers are different everywhere. I actually was riding my bike like 2 weeks ago, and state trooper was out running. He's like, "Are you Zach Evanesh?" And my kids are with me, and it's always so embarrassing for them.
Yeah.
So what's interesting to me, though, is police officers are out of shape and just not prepared for when the shit hits the fan. It blows my mind. And one of my friends, I'm actually right next to the base for National Guard and state troopers. So my buddy is, I don't know if they're switching him after this whole coronavirus thing, but he was doing the PT for state troopers. And then one of the, I don't know if you've ever flown into New Jersey for when you were up at Liberty for any competitions, but Newark is like a pretty dangerous area. And Newark was just, I think, passing people through the police academy, and then they were not physically prepared. So they sent them down. And I was walking my dog, and on the other side of the fence, I see my buddy Dave like running with them, and I saw people dying. And he was more like shuffling. He wasn't even running, you know, the shuffle.
Yep.
And I was like, that cannot be state troopers right there. And he said, dude, they outsourced PT to us from Newark because they were passing everybody. People, they were short because it's inner city. And I've seen some dangerous shit happen in the local small towns. And so, you know, I'm shocked at how unprepared these policemen are. Usually what I program for people in the beginning is you have to do a carry. You have to drag a sled, and then you got to do calisthenics, like an upper body push and pull.
Yep.
It could be push-ups and recline rows, and then some sort of unilateral lower body work. Lunges, forward lunge, reverse lunge, walking lunge. Lateral lunges is tough, but I look around and I kind of play that game of I don't trust people. So I'm shocked, man. So I just think it's great. You're putting out something that's top-notch quality, and I hope that the real people need to find it, because like you said, there's a lot of kind of like, some people were able to like use a cool name on Instagram and cool photos, and they get a lot of followers, but they're just posting some kind of crazy workouts that might just, I think, beat them up and make them feel shittier. Ray is saying, unfortunately, we still see this in the regular armed forces. And here's another guy. Local law enforcement in New Jersey don't have physical standards throughout officers' careers, only for the academy. He's correct. So once they're in, they're in. I think state police have an annual, here we go, he's Arconlin 7. NJ State Police, on the other hand, do, and they are held to physical standards yearly. But I think it's a pretty basic run, push-up, sit-up type thing, which I would love to see them do similar to what the Army has. I think you need some sort of a carry, a sled drag, and a deadlift.
Yeah. I think the change is good. What happened in the military? It's still, a lot of people still don't understand the difference between a high handle and a low handle trap bar.
Yep.
You know.
Oh, the handle in the Army is low, right?
Low.
That's a big change.
It's a big change, and people have to understand. And that's where, like, I don't know who got together and designed it, the test, but like if you're a taller athlete, that's gonna be a little bit harder.
It's gonna be I mean, I think about this. One of the kids following right here, his dad was actually, I used to train this kid. His dad was kind of like the bounty hunter. It was great. And his dad was a very physical, strong guy who, when I was a kid, his dad would train with the powerlifters in the gym. They would squat, bench, deadlift. They would do heavy curls. They did power bodybuilding, and then they all ran. They all were runners. But you're right. Like, high school kids struggle with a low bar trap bar because of the hips and ankles. So I can only imagine anybody who's been trained incorrectly is going to struggle. So if they're not doing it the right way, they don't have the mobility, they're going to get rocked. I wonder who came up with the idea that it should be a low handle.
I don't know. It's interesting, and we're seeing it. We're seeing it now. I mean, the test is happening, and we can see it with ankle mobility and getting in the proper position. People are struggling with it, man. I mean,
especially the 3 rep. I could see the back position, the knee position.
Yep.
You know, little details that you and I would see that maybe a non-expert doesn't understand. Hey, your feet need to come an inch closer. You need to drop your butt.
Yep.
Pull your shoulders back. I mean, those little, or your left foot, your toe, your left foot is pointing out an inch. Straighten that sucker. Like all of these little details. I got one last question for you, Shelton, then I'll let you go, my man. With, you know, everybody under one roof where you are, and this tends to be, it's becoming kind of the norm in the SF community. You've got the PT, you've got the athletic trainer. Talk to us about, you know, in college, we'd call it return to play, but I guess we call these guys, you know, return to deploy, being able. So how aggressive is PT looking now with all the knowledge we have about moving actually pretty quickly after a surgery and loading the tissue and whatnot, especially SF, we're talking knees, back, shoulders, lower back, shoulders.
Well, here's the thing. Right now, the way it is under our roof is they're trying to get those guys back to the weight room as soon as possible, which is great. And the difference between the tactical setting and the college setting, they view us as the professional, which is awesome. You know, we're the professional. We are a human performance professional. We work closely with the PTs, and that communication's there. Being under the same roof is crucial. I mean, literally, like the PT that's assigned to me is right across the desk, and we talk at all times. So that's there. And these PTs are very knowledgeable, man. Like they're certified in cupping, needling.
They are performance. They are, you know, I interviewed my buddy, Dr. Doug Kachijian. He's a doctor of PT. He was also a pararescueman in the Air Force. I always tell him, I go, you're a performance coach, my man. Like he understands to get you strong, you know? So.
And I see like, and what helps, we still see the issues of PTs having some trouble getting into the weight room, lifting themselves. So, but again, it's getting them to understand, like, because I'm programming for a PT now. It's that communication, right? Like, hey, I can program something without Olympic lifts and barbell back squats, and they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, I can. Like it don't have the program, man. You know. So just getting into the weight room and understanding what it feels like themselves is important. And so our PTs lift. We all lift, and again, I think that's a crucial piece. Is if your medical professional hasn't been under the bar and tries to shut you down from an injury and not try to get you back to the weight room as soon as possible, then get rid of them. Like find somebody else. That's not
yeah. Good. Kelly Starrett said it to me, or he said at a seminar probably 15 plus years ago. He goes, ask your physical therapist or chiropractor, does he deadlift? Better yet, does he know what a deadlift is? So what's interesting as strength coaches too, you being 35, I'm 44. I feel like, so probably 10 years ago, you were in you're 25. I felt like we as strength coaches needed to learn a lot about, we're not physical therapists, but we had to understand this kind of rehab model. We had to understand because especially in your early days at the university, your athletic trainer is usually under the same roof, but PT is usually a whole nother building. It's separate. There's, not sometimes good communication, sometimes not. So as a I don't even like to use the word strength coach. I'd say strength and performance coach. You got to know all this stuff. So, man, it's been great. And looking here, Instagram, 13 Bar Strong. 13 Bar Performance is the website, though, correct?
Yep.
Good. So people, I'm pulling this audio, so they'll be listening to it. And I guess if people have questions, they should hit you up on the 13 Bar Strong Instagram account.
Yeah, that's probably what we check the most. I mean, you can also submit questions on the website, but give me a direct message on Instagram, man, and we'll get back to you. We're always willing to answer questions, anything that people have.
On the website, it looks like you got a newsletter, right?
Yep.
You got the different programs. I'm just going to show it on video because I'm going to try to pull the video as well. So right now we got, what's this quarantine training program? Is it all body weight, I guess?
So we made it basically movement based. So you might see like a goblet squat or a goblet split squat. If somebody don't have weight, that's fine. If somebody has dumbbells or something they can pick up, they can still do it. So we break it down per movement instead of like a specific body weight exercise.
Oh, and I see here you got a return to training program, which is kind of what we were just talking about. We got a zero dark We got a 0 dark 13.
Yep.
Option 1, option 2. How many weeks are these programs?
So Op 1 and Op 2, they're both 16 weeks.
Nice.
Op 1 is more like strength endurance, hypertrophy based. It's still total body. Op 2 is more strength based, a little bit of power in there, but both of them include conditioning options. We're hitting more work capacity GPP in the first Op 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, we try to break it down and try to make it where people have something to kind of feed off of and kind of progress. And we're looking to get the app here soon, probably in the next year or so. We'll probably have to move to an app.
Smart. What about a YouTube channel? Do you have a YouTube?
We're looking into it. It's just with the job, the full-time job, it's tough to get that YouTube stuff out, man.
Yeah.
But we've been thinking about putting out some like technique videos, just little things, little cues that people just don't know with the trap bar, with the press, with cleans. I mean, anything. Just people just don't know, and they need that information.
Yeah. Let's do this before we close out. People are really pumped. They really love the IG. Can you give us a tour of your garage gym?
Oh yeah, man. It's not.
We've been doing that with the Instagram lives. I asked the coach to give us a little tour.
So right here you'll see the black turf strip. Right, this is from Liberty's Olympic weight room, and Play was like, hey, we got an extra strip of turf that you can have. I'm like, hell yeah! Like I'll put it in the back of my truck and put it in the garage. So
beauty.
I have a little turf strip here, and I got a Rogue Echo bike, which I highly recommend because this thing is awesome.
Nice.
That's pretty smooth. Of course, I got the kids' toys all right there.
Yes.
This is some accessory stuff, right? So like kettlebells, weight vests, neck piece. I got these dumbbells, man, from Titan Fitness, the dumbbell handles for cheap. And I got these plates from Plate Against Sports, man. Those two dumbbells right there, under $130. I got like 15s through 85s with those things.
And they're not thick handle, are they?
No, they're basically, they spin a little bit.
Oh, nice.
You can do snatches and cleans with them, but also they're perfect for presses or rows or whatever.
And they come with those clamps?
So I had to buy these separate. These are the heavy-duty road clamps.
Okay, nice.
I wanted to make sure those things didn't slip. But you see a sandbag here, some accessories, some mini bands in there, rower, and then your rack, plates, bumpers. Again, like just all you need, man. I mean, no more.
Right. Where's that rack from? Is that Rogue or Sornex?
Yes, this is Rogue. I've had this for like 5 years, and it's still just fine. I mean, I got it for like $350.
Yes, yeah. And what do you load it down with plates? Is that what keeps it in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We got these old plates here. Yeah, we got some more plates. You got a plate tree here. Got a dip bar.
Perfect.
That's all you need, man.
Yep, very good. So no specialty bars in your garage.
No specialty yet. No, I'm thinking about getting a trap bar here soon. But yeah, man, a little story about these mats. Pop Soren, I was down at Sornex one day, and we were walking through the warehouse, and he was like, "You want any mats for the garage or anything?" I'm like, I was thinking, and I didn't have my car. We were traveling with baseball with Liberty, and it was a big old bus, and I took the bus with a couple of guys there to get some training in. And I'm like, you know what? Let's see if I can get this bus driver to back this thing up to the warehouse. And I carried it back home to Virginia. 4 huge thick mats, man. They're awesome.
That's great. I've known those guys for a real long time, since my garage days. So that would be like 2003.
Yeah.
Yep, long time. Great guys. I'm a little bummed that Summer Strong is out. I don't even know if would you have been able to go or no?
Yeah, we planned on it. We planned on going to it as a staff this year. But yeah, it's a shame, man. I'm anxious to see what they do with the dates.
Right. How are you? Are you guys going into the base at all, or how is things working now?
No, so SOCOM, they approved telework.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. So now it's just everything's off bridge. We're doing Zoom meetings and everything with the PTs and coaches, make sure everybody's still on the same. But yeah, man, I don't know when we're gonna go back. What's gonna happen? I mean, there's no end in sight right now, so I don't know.
I know. What about the guys? Is anybody getting deployed or?
So we got
weird
guys
times.
we got guys that's gone now, but we got guys also that's still got to be quarantined just like anybody else. They're very strict about how to get in. I mean, you got to get temperature checked. There's a checklist of who's allowed in. I mean, they're very strict about that. But some guys are loving it because they're getting time with family, and some guys are hating it. But also, our guys are getting healthy. And I mean, this time is good for them.
SF guys are just like wrestlers, even if most of them probably are, But that is like the problem is they want more, but it's like,
Yep.
dude, it's just really, we shouldn't do more.
Yep.
You know, you know, it's a blessing in disguise. So great, man. Shelton Stevens, thanks so much, my man.
Absolutely.
13barperformance.com. When they type it in, it's the number 13 on Instagram, 13 bar strong. And just connect through Shelton, through his website. That would be the way. If you guys are listening, this video will go up on my YouTube. And Shelton, I'll send you a message after this when we shut it down, but it's the Strong Life Podcast. Thanks to everybody for watching and those of you listening. Shelton, I'll hit you up with a message, man. Signing out.
Yep.
Later, bro.